Am I just saying my name? Is that it?
Well, just introduce our game and like what we race or ride.
Like what am I saying?
Let me start this up.
Okay.
I gotta turn on the thing. 1 second. Can you hold that for me?
With a hat like that, you
Thank you. Testing. Can you hear me? Is this clear? Okay. Galbraith Gravity. Are we ready? Are we ready to start? Yes? Okay. I'm Eric, and thank you all for coming to our second annual pro panel. We've got a bunch of professional mountain bikers here to give you all of their tips and tricks for training and other things, like tips and tricks for parents. We're going to talk about that as our second question. Okay, so I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves, and if you are a Galbraith Gravity alumni or not, say that. Okay.
My name's Kelly Swarens, and I mean I'm still on Galbraith Gravity, so. Oh, did it cut out? Oh, hello. Okay, is it doing anything? Hello. Okay. My name's Kelly Swarens, and I mean I'm still on Galbraith Gravity, so yeah.
My name is Tilly Melton. I race downhill.
You an alumni?
I'm not a Galbraith Gravity alumni.
My name is Jill Kintner. I've been a professional since I was 14. I've raced every discipline, and I have attended Galbraith Gravity events, but I am not an alumni.
Yeah, my name's Elliot Jamieson. I'm from White Rock, BC, just over the border. I race enduro and downhill. And I am not a Galbraith Gravity alumni, but I'm good friend of Galbraith Gravity.
I'm JT. I'm from Bellingham, and I'm 21. And wait, what am I supposed to say? Yes, I'm involved with Galbraith Gravity, and I race enduro.
Richie Rude. I race enduro and downhill. I'm not part of Galbraith Gravity, but I'm around here, so yeah.
My name is Alden Pate. I race downhill from Snohomish, Washington, and I'm a part of Galbraith Gravity since 2022.
Yeah, really nice. All right. Okay, so let's do a quick down the line. Talk about your racing, some key results that you're proud of in the last couple of years or in your career.
I think my biggest result I'm proud of is beating JT Fisher by 5 seconds at the SST race in 2022. I think I still haven't really lived that one down, and just to beat him on a home track really kind of resonates with me. So I don't think I'm going to let that one down, and yeah. Yeah, that's probably for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been professional since I was 15, so I got 15 years of racing now. But yeah, I guess at this point I'm 4-time enduro champion, and I won enduro world championships this year, so yeah.
Last year, I finished second in the Junior Enduro World Cup overall. And then this year, I finished 10th in Elite Men and 12th at World Championships.
Yeah, this year I'm Canadian national champion. I was also 3rd place at Worlds behind Richie. And then I also was a junior bronze medalist at World Championships as well for downhill.
I have a few. I've raced a long time. I actually discovered the other day I've been top 3 in the world in 6 different disciplines. I have an Olympic medal, 3 world titles in mountain biking. I've won EWS stages, I've downhill podiums, pump track world titles, and BMX world titles, and slalom So done it all. Oh, and I made it in the Hall of Fame last week.
This year, I'm proud of my result at the Lake Placid World Cup. I was second in juniors, so I'm proud of that one. And then also this year at National Champs, I was third overall for elite women. So yeah, those are two that I'm proud of from this year.
I'd say currently right now, the result I'm most proud of is my first overall for the Northwest Cup last year for junior women. But I'm also really proud of my Crankworks finish this year for Canadian Open and racing my first World Cup this fall. So.
Okay, so we've got some hitters here, you may have noticed, and we're going to ask them for their secret training tips. So they're gonna give us all the secrets. No, I have asked them to come up with one hot tip for Groms if you were gonna start training to be like them. What would the thing be that you should start with? What's the training tip? All right, you ready? All right.
I'd say a big training tip would be, dedicating some time to the basics. You could spend like a full weekend working on cornering or just body position or jumping or whatever. But I think just really getting down to the basics is good to come back to, even if you might feel like you don't necessarily need to. But it's good to refresh those things. So I feel like that's super helpful.
A training tip that I have would probably be just to get out and ride as much as you can, and keep it pretty diverse with what kind of trails you're riding, whether it's tech or jumps. It all pays off in the end. So yeah, I think just riding as much as you can and being consistent with it is a good tip.
I don't know. One thing I used to always do is I'd try and have a goal per thing. Like I'd not just go out aimlessly riding. I'd have like something I was working on. I'd like try and always be one step better or try something new that I'd never tried before. So I don't know, just little goals add up to big goals.
Nice. Yeah, I'd say a big tip. I'd recommend honestly something that I feel like I did a good job of growing up was riding like all sorts of bikes, whether that's like a cross country bike or like cyclocross or a road bike or go to the BMX track. I think a lot of us, especially living here, living near mountain biking, you tend to gravitate towards riding enduro or riding downhill. And I think just riding all sorts of bikes builds different skills that you can rely on in weird scenarios. I think riding in the mud, a massive factor is I think we're growing up riding cyclocross was a huge part of just being comfortable on the bike and developing kind of weird little skills. So I'd say, go to the BMX track or, sign up for a cyclocross race and ride that for fun and just enjoy all the bikes, I'd say.
I think a big thing for me, when I was younger, was going out and just having fun, and also surrounding yourself with people who want to achieve similar stuff. I think it's hard to know when you're young what exactly you want to do, but having a good group of people to go out and ride with that are motivated to go do whatever, go push themselves a little bit. And, I think a huge part of it is when you're young is honestly just enjoying it and having fun and not just kind of burning yourself out when you're younger. I think a big thing is just having fun and having surrounding yourself with a positive group of people who are gonna want to achieve similar goals.
I think the group had a lot of good tips, but I think just being consistent and I guess breaking down your riding a bit, and if you have a few things you want to work on, and just trying to be a well-rounded rider, kind of like what Elliot said, just trying different bikes and kind of just doing different things and making sure that you're not just always riding that one trail and you get specific to that. But I guess being consistent and just trying to kind of round out yourself as a rider.
Yeah, I think similar to what Elliot said, the diversity of riding and training and not getting stuck in one rut, kind of going into the off season, doing the same thing as last year. I always try to mix stuff up, reevaluate what I'm doing, reassess and do the most effective stuff. So when it comes to riding different bikes and doing different workouts and kind of just having that diversity within my program, I think that's helped. Riding skate park, riding the dirt jumps, doing downhill laps, doing enduro stuff. It all just kind of keeps it new and allows me to stay stoked on everything.
Some great tips. All right, now we're gonna go the other way. What are some pitfalls or things not to do that maybe you have done over the years? Things that you thought were gonna help you and then you realized later we're no good, and you can warn us all, don't do that. Anything? Ready?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like I mentioned earlier, trying to kind of always do something new. Like obviously there's stuff that's going to work for you, but I think you see so many athletes that do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So I think just being, critical with what you're doing and reassessing what you're doing. And like I know some people that'll do flat corners on a road for 5 years straight, and I don't know if that's like the right thing to do. And I think eventually you should kind of look at that and say, this is diminishing returns, and maybe I should bring it to a rut track, or maybe I should go and kind of implement the skills I'm learning on the road to a downhill track. So I think kind of being critical of your time, and because that's finite, so you want to be maximizing what you're doing during your time. So
yeah, I guess the biggest thing for me is like sometimes I don't always have a plan of what I want to do, and then you train or do whatever for a month or so and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere because you never made that plan to kind of achieve what you want to. And then I guess the other thing would just be don't always you don't have to rush things. Like we do have a long off season, so there's a lot of time to kind of get settled into training or riding and doing what you're doing. And yeah, especially with some of us, we finished racing kind of second week of October, and it's always nice to kind of chill out and do whatever for a couple of weeks and not just get back into it thinking you got to rush it into the next season.
I think it's really easy to be like, kind of, I guess going off what they were saying, it's really easy to get comfortable doing something you're familiar with and like get like kind of stuck in a rut of like doing the same thing over and over again because it's what you're comfortable with. So like I think it's good to like take a step back and like ask yourself what you're doing, or maybe ask the people around you, like, do you think I'm doing this right? Or whether it's skills or training or in the gym or something like that. Like, I think it's good to know, like, to kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I feel like I've struggled with that, like getting stuck into something I'm comfortable with, like doing training that I know how to do. So I do it too much and the returns are like next to zero because I'm just doing the same thing over and over again. So I think it's good to like branch out and change up what you're doing.
Yeah, I think too, like the biggest lessons I feel like not mistakes, but kind of like things I learned when I was younger. The first one is like being very much like short-sighted in like my goals, where I would be so focused on the next race and like put all my emphasis on my confidence and my fun and like my love for it to that one race, rather than kind of seeing it as this being like this long opportunity of so many different races where I can, some races you crash, some you're injured, some you go up and down. But I think having kind of like the longer term focus of being like, you set yourself a goal, you're like, I want to be, maybe it's a downhill racer, maybe it's an enduro racer or a cross country racer. And if you're kind of like making the right decisions on a daily basis to like put yourself in the position where you're slowly moving towards that every day, I think that's a really cool takeaway. And, it's not like every race will be, you're going to knock it out of the park and put down your best result. But if you're just making those decisions every day to get a little bit closer to your goals, I think that makes a massive impact. And I was really hard on myself when I was young, where, if I missed a session or I, wasn't feeling as good as I knew I could be, then I would put a lot of pressure and be like, I'd knock down my confidence for the next race. And I think the second thing too is being super open-minded to like what a mountain bike career looks like, because I think today now there's so many different directions that you can go with being an athlete. And in the past, maybe Joe can correct me too, but there was less opportunities to, there's very much focus on being a racer, and that was kind of like the pathway to be a professional athlete. And I think now there's so many different options. And we see that with like people doing more, and I'm not a huge like content writer, but I think there's people doing more like content side of stuff and with racing. And I think just being really open-minded to opportunities that come your way and seize them when they come. Because I think like growing up, I raced all different bikes, and at one point I was going to pursue a cross-country career. Like I was looking for opportunities to race World Cup XC, and then I ended up racing downhill and did World Cup downhill for 5 years. And then now I transitioned to enduro, and I've done that for a few years. So it's kind of like it's cool to have set big goals, but I think also being open-minded to those opportunities and seizing them as they come.
That was pretty good. Nice one. I kind of think embracing the adversity, or when things don't go right, it's kind of how you react in those moments that really sets your personality, because I feel like all my biggest accomplishments are when something bad happened and I was able to overcome. So it really pushes you to figure out who you are and what you want. And if your personality doesn't match with racing and you don't like it, then you need to find something else. Just like listening, play other sports, like I got hurt a few times and I found art, and that really is part of my life and part of my career. And so, whenever you get hurt or things are down, it's like, how are you going to rise up, or what are you going to do in that moment? And that will really shape you. And just don't get too bummed. Don't try and get too high or too low. Just kind of take it for what it is and embrace it, and just be like, all right, this is my new path, or I'm going to go this direction. So even when things seem like they're bad, they kind of make you who you are and are actually good in the long run, if you can, find the mental strength to overcome, or do what you need to do, I guess.
Maybe can I add something quickly too?
Yeah.
I think to add on Jill's point, I think there's so much value today as a rider as well, working to be professional, of having other skills. And I think there's not as much of there's less opportunity for people now who are just racers and don't have something like art, or being part of the community, like coaching or mentoring, or doing school, or doing, having these other hobbies and skills, I think is super valuable. So I think having, now at the age you guys are at, is you have the time to also explore all your other interests, like Jill was saying. Maybe it's art, maybe it's music, maybe it's, a trade, or science, or, it can be anything. I think building skills alongside biking is so valuable, and will just make you a better athlete and person, overall too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like even now I coach the US XC national team. I find there's a big mark between 18 and 23, when people decide if they're going to go to college. It's that's kind of the time when you can decide, yeah, I really want to go for this. But when you're young, you have fun and you do all these other things, because being a good athlete makes you a good biker. I mean, it's not all about winning and losing. It's kind of your process and your journey that matters the most. So, I mean, only one person wins, you know what I mean? So it's you either figure out, they're your teacher. How do you get there? It's I have this example, so you have to figure it out. And it's a game to figure it out. And if you want it, you'll figure it out. So that's what I got.
Yeah, for me, I think building off of what Elliot said earlier about just being open-minded with everything, I think I've definitely made the mistake, whether it's just with line choice, at a World Cup, if you get too close-minded and too set on one line, I mean, everything's going to change. It's the track's changing. You got to be open-minded, ready to try new things. And same with what Elliot was saying about just taking everything as it comes and open-minded. It's you're just taking these opportunities and doing the most with them, and it's really good.
I mean, I think it's really important to push yourself and push that comfort zone, but I also feel like it's really important to remember to have fun and remember that you're doing this sport because you love it and you fell in love with it and it's what you like to do. And I just feel like fun's probably super important. So, yeah.
All right, so some takeaways I had from that are, be kind to yourself, allow yourself to make mistakes, and try all sorts of different things. Don't get stuck doing the same thing over and over again. All right, so now we're going to talk to the parents. So all of these athletes here have had mentors and parents and coaches who have helped them get to the level they're at. And so I've asked them, what are some things that your parents or coaches or mentors have done for you that's, made a big difference? Because parents, you can help, your kids quite a bit. We all know that. But you can also, we're going to do the opposite question. What are some things not to do after this question? So.
Wait, that was confusing.
Sorry, that was super confusing. What I'm trying to say is the athletes are going to share one thing that a parent has helped them do that has helped them succeed as a mountain biker. How has your parent helped you?
I think the biggest way that my parents have helped me is just, driving me to these races and traveling with me and just being supportive and wanting me to be there and wanting me to have a good time and just, cooking my meals and hoping that I'm fed throughout the whole weekend and feeling happy with how I'm riding and just wanting to make sure I'm having a good time, really. But, they're just also, it's good to have them be encouraging and just, come home from a bad day at school and they're like, go for a ride. It'll make you feel better. I feel like that's it.
Yeah, for me, I'm really fortunate to have really supportive parents who've traveled with me to the races, and even just the small things like my parents, they'll shuttle me on Chuckanut when I need to train for downhill. Even just small things like that, it's huge just to have some kind of help like that, and support at the races as well is really important. So it's good.
There's endless things that they've done, but I think the best thing they could do is they trusted me and gave me freedom. Like, we had like a rule, like if I got good grades, they couldn't really bother me about too many things, So that was like, I earned their trust and they let me have it back. So I think that was really a nice thing that they let me have a ton of freedom. And so I got to do what I wanted.
Yeah, I think to add on Jill, it's like, obviously there's so many things that I feel like my parents were so supportive of me. But I think the biggest thing is the freedom, but also like the space to like fail too and like learn myself. Like I think I could see as a parent, you want to kind of set your kid up so well that they're just going to succeed, like everything's dialed, their bike's dialed, they're going to the right races. But at a certain point, it's like your kid's going to go to the top and the first corner, they're going to have a massive crash and then you're going to drive home, And it's like, that's the reality of bike racing. Like there's so many variables at play that I think as a parent, you can't really control every factor. So it's just allowing your child, and like I felt like I myself had the space to fail and learn from my mistakes. And then over time, you kind of just correct those. And as a young athlete, that's part of like learning and, building yourself as a person too. So I think the space to fail is really cool. And as much as it can hurt to see, I think it's important. So.
Yeah, I think like unconditional support is probably the biggest thing that's been there for me. Like my mom has come to pretty much every race I've done for the past however long, and been there to, like, it's always unconditional support. Like no matter if I'm frustrated with how I rode, like she's always super happy for me and wants me to keep going. And it's like having like it costs a bunch of money to go to these races, and like I get a new bike and it's expensive, but like she's okay with me like not having the best day. And it's like I don't have pressure from anyone but myself, and that's something that I think was really, really positive for me, was just like always like having support from my parents to keep going. And it was like no matter how good or bad I did, it was like they were always stoked to see me just out there having fun and doing what I love.
Yeah, I think when I was growing up racing, from 8 years old to 16 years old, when I kind of got that contract with Yeti, that my mom and dad always helped me a lot kind of get into the races and doing the series out east and kind of just like making a good time of it. My dad raced with me, so we had some good competition there, which I think really helped kind of push me a bit and just kind of keep it fun for the both of us. But I think similar to JT, just like that, tons of support from them, and they obviously love that I ride bikes or like race bikes now, and they're always there cheering me on, and that's always really good to see. And knowing you have that kind of support system, and whether it's a good day or a bad day, they're always super excited to see how I do. And I think also like at the races from like coaches and mentors and stuff, it's just when they're there with a couple of nice words for you, either post-race or pre-race, it's you take those things to heart, and it's pretty helpful.
Yeah, I think my parents did an amazing job of being super supportive at all the races, and they gave me all the tools I needed to succeed, but without kind of the pressure behind it that they've they're invested in obviously time, money, and everything, but I think it was really relaxed where the pressure, like JT said, was only kind of put on by myself. I think another thing that they did was really emphasize the long-term scope of this sport and my career, and kind of that success is going to come over a while, like over many years versus just immediate success, and that you're going to have to stick with it, and you might not get the results you want for the first year after year, but you just got to keep going with it. And they were there to be able to support me the whole time. So
Some great answers. If I could add something, it would be if you try really hard for a whole season in pushing your kid and they do better than the season before, but then, you get through that, it was traumatic, and then they don't want to mountain bike ever again. Was it a success? That's the question. So I think we know the answer. And I think all of these folks have raced many people over the years, especially as juniors, who burnt out on racing. And they have not burnt out on racing. And I think the key there was their parents helping them keep it fun, as they all said. So now we're going to talk about the flip side. What are some things that you've seen, maybe people that you competed against who were better than you, but maybe ways that maybe they burnt themselves out, or things that you've seen other parents do that have, maybe gotten their kids to not like mountain biking anymore? What are some things to watch out for? It's a hard question, but I think it's important to talk about.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is kind of just the balance of, obviously it's in your best interest that your kid succeeds and they have all the resources in order to succeed. But I think it's maybe a misconception that if you're giving every single thing and doing everything for your kid at the races, training, everything, I think they become dependent, and maybe that results in less fulfillment when they actually do well because they have less effort and time invested. And I think ultimately you want to set your kid up for success and to be able to kind of be self-sufficient. So I think learning that balance of helping out and giving as many resources as you can provide, but also knowing that at some point they'll go to the races on their own, and that they'll actually get more out of the sport and out of a result if they've put the hard work and all that time and effort, and it hasn't been just the parent. So I think, knowing that balance between helping the kid out, but also kind of letting them figure out things by failing, and
Alden, could you maybe give like a concrete example of what good helping and what bad helping might be?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is just like bike work. So often not, I see tons of parents that do all the bike work for a kid's bike, and there's this disconnect where the rider's the one riding the bike but doesn't really have any to no knowledge about how their bike works. And I think things like that, you kind of want to help out, but I also think that kids need to be competent on their own bike, know how things work, be able to do that all on themselves, because in the end, if something happens and parents not there, you don't want to just be stranded. So I think that's a good example, and
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't know what to say to it, but I think maybe just being the child, maybe, or coming from the other side, just be really thankful of that time and effort that your parents are putting into supporting you racing. They don't have to, but they're there to be there for you, and I think just being thankful for that, and knowing that they putting in all those years and all the time to kind of be there for you, make sure you chase your dreams it's important to thank them.
I feel like no one in this room would ever do this, but I remember when I was younger, I grew up in California, and so I raced a lot of kids from Southern California, and there was some dads out there I remember we were at this one track, and this dude told his kid that if he didn't hit one of this gap that he was gonna have to ride home. And don't know if you guys know who Ryan Pinkerton is, but he's really, really good now. But so it worked for his case, but there's definitely other examples where that has not worked out like 99% of the time. So I guess that was kind of a bad example, but yeah, I guess just yeah, I mean, from a parent standpoint, like you guys invest so much money into the racing and stuff, and like to really just like, it's okay, like results don't happen overnight, and that's not something that you can buy. Like, it's same thing with experience. Like, you're investing all this money, and experience comes with that, like going to these races and riding at new places, you know, racing against new faces, and all this stuff is like, you have to have experience, and that there's no real shortcut to doing well. And like, I think that's the number one thing you can do to do well is have experience racing. So yeah, like just because you're spending a lot of money, and which is, I realize it's a lot, but like results don't happen instantly.
So what are some ways to save money but still gain experience?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great racing, especially around here, like with the Cascadia Dirt Cups, the Northwest Cups, like especially if you're trying to race professionally. Like everyone in this room is quite young and still in the junior category, but there's a lot of super fast juniors, especially at the Northwest Cups, and a lot of like at Cascadia Dirt Cups, like the pro men field is pretty solid. Like there's some fast dudes out there, so. And those are all within driving distance, like for sure. I mean, there's a few races that are out there, like in Montana for Northwest Cup, for example, but like there's a lot of great racing around here, especially at Whistler too for Crankworks. That's like relatively low cost in the grand scheme of things, like for most racing, that is like that you can get a good amount of experience, and yeah, there's a lot of people out there. So.
But do you think you'd be able to get to the highest level of racing by just racing those series?
It's hard to say. I mean, I don't think some of us have, like Kelly, for example, just mentioned how she won the Northwest Cup Junior overall last year, and then she raced her first World Cup at the end of the year. And that's like, I guess that's probably Northwest Cup's goal of having a direct path from Northwest Cup to World Cup, but I don't realistically think that that's something, like, for me, example, like I raced all over the United States at a handful of different series racing enduro before I raced my first Enduro World Cup, which was in Whistler, which I was super thankful for. But I think that in order to race, unless you're like really, really good, it's really hard to not have the experience and then to go race the World Cups and be competitive for sure.
So don't jump straight to World Cup racing. Do local races.
Yeah. Like there's a handful of races like in Windrock and on the East Coast, like the Monster Pro Downhill Series. There's not really much for enduro anymore, honestly, but yeah.
I think maybe going back to like what you were first asking, Eric, of like what I saw maybe growing up and what kind of unfolded with a lot of the kids that I raced growing up, that why they don't race now. And I think a lot of the time it was the young athletes, and as they got older, didn't really have like a super deep connection to like why they loved racing. So I think that's something that like I really intentionally like reflected on when I was young, of like even just writing things down, like why do I love racing? And it's like, okay, I love it because it's challenging me, it keeps me healthy, it's fun, I like have met the best people like in the world through racing, you know? So I think some of my buddies who lost track of that as they grew up, and maybe it was because they had changing priorities, like they wanted to go to university and they didn't quite have the time management skills to balance racing with school. Or I think going back to like from a parental standpoint, I think some of them also, their parents were living a little bit vicariously through the children, where the young athlete maybe didn't want to go to the World Cup, but their parents wanted them to, you know? And so they would send their kid with Cycling Canada to go to the World Cup, and, you know, the young athlete would do everything they could, but I think they truly didn't have like the deep, passionate desire to be there for themselves and a connection to like why they want to race mountain bikes. So I think as a young athlete, I think it's worth, and it's obviously like deep internal questions that you don't have to have the answer to like right now, but I think like over time, figuring out like why you love racing and what your goals are moving forward and sharing that with your parents is cool, where you can like bounce ideas with each other and kind of have an open relationship so that it's driven by like you guys, the riders, you know, and your parents are there to support you, but you're the one kind of like driving the ship of like what you want to achieve, you know, rather than the top down where the parents driving the ship and the kids kind of the passenger just going to these races that their parents want them to go to. So I think it's balancing that relationship.
This was what parents do wrong?
Yeah.
That was good, yeah. Let the kid decide where they want to go, what they want to do. I would just say the only thing like I can think of that my dad did was he used to brag about my results, and then my brother was right there, and it like didn't make him feel good, and I used to get really embarrassed. And so I don't really like bragging about results. So I just say like leave it alone, like don't be proud of them, but you don't need to go telling everyone and be that guy or gal.
Yeah, I think everybody so far has had really good points, and something to add would be just to make sure like be aware of like the pressure added onto the kids who are racing, because like in most cases like the rider themselves is already putting plenty pressure on themselves to perform. So I think just for the parents, just be aware of the pressure that you're placing on your kids. So yeah.
I wanted to sort of build off of what Alden said. Yes, I think it's really important for parents to find even just little ways to be supportive, but I almost feel like it's more valuable for the riders to be self-sufficient and learn how to do some things on their own, whether that's just working on your bike or even talking in a professional manner towards someone in the industry. I mean, from little experience from me, like I learned a lot about how to work on my bike, because like I don't know, I'd go to a race and I'd break something on my bike and I'd be like, oh shoot, like I don't know how to do this, but my brother would be there and he'd teach me how to do it, and now I mean I can work on my bike and not feel like I'm gonna be without something working on my bike at a race. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, like touching on like the bike work side, I think like working on your bike doesn't mean you're 14 years old and you know how to like rebuild all your bearings and like completely take apart your bike, you know? Like I think it's just working on like the simple stuff, like being able to change a flat tire, like being able to, if you break your chain, being able to throw a quick link on, like just simple stuff like that, like maybe top bleeding your brakes, like little things that, you know, you can watch YouTube videos and in, you know, an hour of some trial and error, like you could then have those skills, you know, so that when you and your buddies are out riding or at a race, if your parents aren't there, you can just take the initiative. And, you know, I think it feels good too being able to work on your own bike. Like I know like traveling with Alden, like he's so good at working on his bike. Like I'm learning things from him when we're traveling together, you know, and that's pretty cool. Like he's put a lot of effort into that, which is really cool because a lot of riders don't. And like I myself, I think my dad is here and he's not a huge bike mechanic himself, so I haven't been either, but I'm learning from some of the buddies, and yeah, so I think it's good.
Richie, do you know how to work on your bike at all? Like,
I do. When
there you go. Richie Rude knows how to work on his bike, so you can too.
When me and my dad were racing together, we learned to build wheels and stuff. So, because I would destroy quite a few, and I wanted the nice, like, old white DT Swiss rims that were, you could like look at them, they would dent. So, yeah. I mean, after that, he put me on some stronger stuff. But yeah, I learned. I can't do it now because I haven't done it in a while. But yeah, I could build wheels at least.
Put in the headset.
And Jill, do you know how to work on your bike?
Yeah, apparently I can put a headset in straighter than Alden. So.
I mean, I get so upset when other females don't know how to fix their bike, or you can't, like, you can hear something and you can be like, oh, I know how to fix that. And yeah, I've put a lot of effort. Like, I used to read the instructions when I get a new part. I did it all on my own. I struggled, figured it out though. Like, I usually build my bikes from scratch still, so I know how they work, what can be changed. That's really, really important, and it's worth the time to show a kid how to do that.
If I can add one more thing, Eric, sorry. One last thing I want to add was going to, like, more directed, I think, at the parents, and, like, growing up, something that I felt like was really valuable to me was being able to communicate with sponsors, like whether that's, you know, like being able to write an email or put together like a proposal. Like I think that side of things is super important as well, and you don't want to have to rely on your parents for your entire career to like help them write your emails or help you talk to brands. I think developing those skills is really like, you guys all go to school, you know how to write, you know how to communicate with like a teacher or a friend, you know, and it's really just seeing those people as someone that wants to help you and how can you provide value to them, but not relying on your parents to talk to brands. Because I think that's a huge skill that's so valuable for you guys as young riders to learn. And that's a whole conversation itself that I don't know if we're going to talk about too, Eric, but Yeah, like there's also Alden said, like the social media side. Like I think there's, yeah. You know, it's they're different questions.
Like,
yeah.
But I do want to open. I mean, maybe it's not. I'm going to open up. Does anyone want to ask a question? I'm going to open it up. Anyone? I've seen a lot of stares.
No, I think V and Elliot's dad. I think for me it was 100% support, maybe 10% manage. Like I don't get involved in any of his discussions or Nash's. I don't do any of that. I just support it 100% and manage it almost zero. Because I think they're old enough and they want it, so it's up to them. And we have another son who's in between Elliot and Nash. He's not competitive. He doesn't race. He enjoys riding a bit, but he does his own thing. And they've chosen their path, and they were stoked. And I'm there to support it. But, you know, I've worked in the bike industry since 1989. I work at Norco in Vancouver, so I've been around bikes for a long time, but it was really just the stoke of getting the kids riding, and that's why they tried like every kind of riding and really just wanted it to be fun. And they took the competitive side more seriously. So anyway, but I think the manage versus support is a big one. So I think a lot of parents want to over-manage and maybe less support. Like every little detail, oh, you gotta fix this, you gotta do that. Just let them go ride and have fun. And then they take the serious part themselves. Anyway, that's my kind of thought.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I mean, I don't even say it worked. I just think you guys are out having fun and like you still love riding. And that's the key thing is going out in the forest and enjoying the trails. And if it's a race or a ride, you come home with a stoke, you're not stressed. And the other thing is the highs and lows. Like you've gone from an insane high of being almost like world champion to an insane low of being injured and sitting at home. You can't be a level person. You've got to be able to manage a really high and a really low. And that's not even me. Like I'm not a competitive dad at all. So to see you guys do that and be able to manage that is pretty amazing too. So that's a cool thing for a kid to be able to see that cycle of highs and lows. Because there's no all high when you're racing. It flip-flops fast.
Which I think prepares us for future life and everything. Just gives us the tools to succeed in life beyond racing. And I think that's something that I'm shown through racing and competition and training is just all the hidden teachings to be just a better human being. And I think that's where I see some of the benefit of racing. Like obviously it's my biggest passion and obviously I'm meeting all these great people, but I think also like day in and day out, I'm noticing that I'm developing all these just beneficial skills and habits to just be a better human.
And maybe the pitfall is losing track of that. Like, that's the point.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
Okay. All right, kids, any questions? Yeah.
If you could
Here.
go back to Richie, you said you started when you were more like 8, but 14-year-old self, as you are now, what would you tell yourself?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
I mean, for all of you, I don't know
Yeah.
if you all started, but like.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like growing up racing, I took it pretty mellow. I don't know. Like I never really had the idea that I was gonna become like a professional mountain biker. I just really enjoyed racing and doing what I was doing and riding through the summer and whatnot and whatever, like taking the winters off because like obviously it wasn't my job then. I was just going to school. But yeah, I think then I was just having fun and riding and doing whatever and just enjoying it as a sport and not thinking about so much the professional side of it. So I think on that end, I think I handled that pretty well.
So you just tell your young self to just do what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think like, yeah, because I went from like I raced XC or 2, just on hardtails, and then I went to BMX and enjoyed that for a couple of years, and then I got in the downhill when I was 11 or 12. So like, yeah, I just went through a couple disciplines, and I think that was pretty good for my development as a rider. And yeah, just racing out east, it brought a lot of experience in with that. I don't know if I would take when I started racing World Cups more serious. I did well then, but
So when were you, what age were you at that point?
17.
So before, like, you don't need to be serious until you're 17. Right.
Yeah, basically.
Even then, though, still,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't need to be serious. Yeah.
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 That's it.
I can confirm Richie's still not that serious.
Yeah, I don't know, David, go ahead.
Well, I think that's like a bit of a common misconception these days is you get these athletes who have their whole life kind of under media of them riding since they were being like super successful at a young age. And I think that we get that as the idea of like successful professional athletes. And I think the question originally was, what would you tell yourself at a young age? And like, I know for myself and JT, we didn't even really race bikes until we were 14. So I was always kind of at this mindset that I had to play catch up. And I was always like, oh, everybody I'm racing has an advantage. They've been doing it since at a young age. And I think you get in this rhythm where you're like, oh, I'm just behind, I'm behind. And I think for so many of you guys who've been riding and racing bikes since, like I can think of Gunnar Shepard, who I followed 5 years ago and has been doing it his whole life. Like, you've got all the time and just keep enjoying it. And I think there is really no rush. And even once you're 17, like when I was 17, I was an absolute squid. Like I think most of you guys could just beat me on the downhill track when I was 17. So, I mean, still, I think it's just stay passionate, ride every day, ride consistently. And yeah, you don't have to be like, oh, am I going to be a professional athlete or not? I'm 14 years old, so.
Any of like Jill or Kelly?
I mean, I think on the other side of that, I was a pretty competitive racer, so you wouldn't want to be 17 and realize you didn't take it serious enough to ever go anywhere as well. But go ahead.
What's your question, Sky? And then you're next, Emmy.
Like right before a big race, like if like you ever got nervous, how did you like kind of like calm your nerves or like how did you get in the right mindset?
I think that's a hard question. Like, I think it's totally different for everyone.
Could you restate the question just so we...
Yeah, so Sky asked, like, before a big race, like, how do you kind of, I guess, calm yourself down when you're nervous and there's a lot going on in your mind? So I feel like that's a hard question, and I feel like it's totally different for everyone. Like for me, like, I feel like I have a routine, so to say, that I like to follow that kind of almost, like, calms me down and, like, it's like almost like a mental like checklist where I'm like, okay, cool, like I'm ready to go do this thing. But I've learned like that's something that I've like learned over years of racing, so that's not something that you can just immediately apply. But like I guess just kind of believe in yourself. Like I think that's like just like a lot of people talk. I don't know if you guys have like heard about like positive self-talk, but like that's something that I do a lot in my riding. Is like I'm always telling myself that I've got this, you know, like that I can do this. Like I think that's huge. And like I see people out there who like, oh, like that sucks. Like I'm so bad. Like I did that so bad. And all that does is like bring you down, and that like shows up on race day. Like, so I think. Like, yeah, going back to the question, I think just really, like, tell yourself that you've got this. Even if you maybe really don't deep down, like, super believe it and you're super nervous, like, telling yourself that you can do it and it's going to be a good day is, like, something that I do that really helps, like, kind of calm my nerves and gets me ready to race.
You want to jump in, Jill? Do you want to add something?
I got some experience with that.
Yeah, get in there.
I always just tell myself my best is good enough. Like, you do the work, you show up, and you see what you got, and that's all you need to do. My one thing I always do is I look out on the horizon, I take a deep breath, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to get to be there. And just know.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool.
That's all. I mean, don't have to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done also, but gratitude, yeah. Emmy, what's your question?
I was just literally gonna ask the same question.
What do you do?
Oh, what?
It's on you. Tell us your technique.
I don't have a technique. I'm just like, I'm here and I'm about to drop, and so let's go.
She's present moment. That's what it takes.
And like usually most of the time, I'm just like I'm not locked in until the moment I'm about to drop, and as soon as the third kick is about to go, I'm like, oh, time to go.
That's nice.
Awesome.
It's like skydiving, right at the edge. Okay, Cass.
So, what do you think the most beneficial, like the most beneficial off-season skill is to, getting better at biking like in the on season, but like your most beneficial skill in the off season?
Gym.
Jim.
Could you restate the question?
Yeah. That was Cass? Cass, right? Yeah, he was asked, what is the most beneficial skill to work on in the off season to then help you in season? Do you guys want to go through it first? You guys go for it.
Sure. Yeah.
These guys all just talked on these questions, so let's
Work this way. Yeah. Sounds good. Okay, I'd say for me, Jill said gym. You said gym. Nice. I think like doing other sports.
Yeah, I think gym as well.
I'm gonna say the same thing. Gym also. So.
It just balances your body from riding a bunch. You do things that are weird and awkward and put you in weird positions, and that helps you take falls, like doing yoga, gym. That's pretty much, I mean, you guys are kind of young, so you're flexible, but you just got to move your body and be ready to like tumble, take a hit, like be strong, have good core strength, and that'll help you with everything.
I mean, I think for a skill, what I do during the off season is I kind of work out what I want to ride like the next season, like what I want to change my body position and stuff like that. And off season's a perfect time to slow down and work on those things and kind of ingrain it in yourself for the kind of the upcoming season.
I think it all really depends on kind of your own riding. Like, I think trying to be deliberate and identify the riding skill that you're weak at and your weaknesses and your strength. And I think always just kind of identifying the lowest hanging fruit and then making that your strength. And then your strength now becomes your weakness. So I think I've always been kind of a believer of, this year I really struggled in corners, or 5 out of the 10 races I washed out on a flat corner. So I'm going to go and do flat corners. So I think when it comes to riding skills, they're always going to be different. And I think the skill alone is actually being able to identify what that weakness is. And gym. It sounds like a lot of people want to do gym too. Yep.
When I'm riding, when I'm just like going for a ride, what kind of like type of trail is most beneficial for like just like getting faster?
Could you say the question?
Yeah, so when he's riding, he's asking what type of trail is most beneficial to get faster. And I think that kind of all depends on what you're working on, really. So I think like if you've identified your weakness is pumping, then going out and riding blue cedar dust and really trying to generate speed on all the rollers, like that's going to be huge. But if you want to work, and I think it's the variety, really. It's not really just one trail alone, but really kind of pushing yourself. Maybe like a lot of my time I spend riding rut tracks, and even on the downhill bike, which is like something I'll never actually race on, but I find it's kind of, I can ride something so awkward and tight that then when I'm on a World Cup track and it's pretty open, the most awkward and tight sections feel super easy. So I think the variety is key.
Variety, but repeating it.
Variety, but repeating it, says Richie.
How many of you use like Strava or whatever when you're just out riding to measure how fast you're going? Or do you not do that generally when you're free riding?
I mean, yeah, it kind of depends. I think I'll do timing starting January, but comes to Strava, I don't really do it too much.
Or a tool like that doesn't.
Yeah.
I think it matters when. Most
I think it,
like
yeah.
Right now, race season's in 5 months, you know? Or I can add.
We're gonna have a train.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, I'll hit it fast. I think like the season is in 4 or 5 months, you know. So right now you don't need to be going out on Strava trying to throw your fastest times, but maybe into this building into the season, then you use that as a tool.
Just wait a second.
Scott.
No, just wait. Just one.
Yeah, wait 1 second. Yeah. Do you think it's all good? Can you hear okay? Yeah? Okay. Yeah.
So like coming up to like a big, like in the start game, like a really long track or like a big race. Like sometimes it's like a 6-minute down the track or like a really long enduro stage. Like sometimes for me, like it's like just because it's super long, I can't focus on that. It's just like I don't know. So how do you guys like prepare for like that really long? Like is it like a couple steps like I'm gonna get to here first and there second? Like how do you like really lock in for that like really long segment of trail that you're about to race down?
Yeah, totally. So Sky was asking if you're facing like a long downhill run or a long enduro stage, how do you lock in and stay focused for the whole track?
Yeah, I think for me it's really the same as any other. I have my warm up. It's the same every time, and it really gets me ready to race. And just in my head, I know that I have done everything that I can do to prepare. So there's really just now you just have to ride the track. And yeah, for me, I think, and to answer your question more directly, for me it's the same as any other kind of track. I mean, like a shorter track, like 3 minutes or something, would be the same as a longer one. So yeah. And Kelly?
I mean, in the start gate or before I'm in the start gate, I try my best to just visualize the track and run through the track in my head, as well as actively in my race run. Like if I'm thinking about a section farther up on the course that might be challenging to me and I'm like worried about it maybe, I in the moment just like tell myself like focus, like think about the section that you're in, just stay in the moment of where you're at. So
Yeah, I think being like trying to be present and like focus on like what's directly in front of you. Like with some stages, like we raced this year that were like pretty long, like over 10 minutes, and there's obviously like parts of every trail that are like kind of challenging or hard. You need to remember to hit some line, and I think it's really easy to be like, okay, I have to hit this line like 8 minutes into this run, which is like, I'm like, oh, that's like pretty long. So like I think it's really important to kind of what Kelly said to be present and focus on what's in front of you, and I think just pay attention to what you're doing, like be present, and I think that's the best thing you can do for long runs like that.
So you shouldn't stress for 8 minutes.
No. Yeah, like just like it's gonna be over before you know it. Like just be present.
I've found for like long enduro stages, you don't go out of the gate 100%. You take it at like a 90%, so you don't gas yourself out, and then you can like build into the speed, but focus on your fundamentals and your pumps and your touch on the ground, so you don't waste energy. Does that make sense?
I think maybe too, the last thing would be like breaking the track into chunks. Like say there's something that maybe there's like a key line you remember that's 2 or 3 minutes in, but being like, okay, I remember the first minute is kind of like a flowy sort of trail, and then it gets really technical, so I need to be really focused and precise there. And then there's a sprint, so then it's kind of like breaking it into these, using it as sections in your mind so that you're not like overwhelmed with everything going on, and then you can come into like the technical bits and execute, and then move on to the next bit and know you kind of like worked through that. Yeah. Next question too. There, yeah.
Does it help to go out and ride like moto trails and build trails like that?
Yeah. Does it help to ride moto or build trails? Yeah, I think.
You surely talk about Malini, bro.
I'd say moto. Honestly, I've never ridden moto. I would love to, but yeah, I've never had the opportunity to personally, so I can't really speak on that. But I'd say building trails. I wish I had the opportunity to build more trails. I think, like, I live in White Rock, so I don't have a huge opportunity, but you guys in Bellingham, like, it seems to me like there's so much trail building going on all the time. So I'd definitely say, especially this time of year where it's like, it's honestly good cross training too. Like, you get strong, moving around tools, moving dirt. Like, it's a cool skill, and it's fun and like fulfilling. You can like go ride the trail again. Yeah, so I'd definitely say build trails and ride moto if you have one.
What's your question?
You're riding enduro. Sometimes you have to ride a stage like blind. Is there any like good way to like, like calm yourself and like maybe like figure out which line's gonna be the best?
Yeah, I think that's really hard because we like, for all of us, for I know us three here at least, like we all race the Enduro World Cups, and a lot of the stages when we practice them are blind, so we don't know where we're going, and so I think it's pretty hard to go into a track and be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna just go ride this really fast and not know where I'm going. Like I think that's a really hard really hard skill, and it takes. I don't know. That's a pretty hard question, honestly.
I'd say go ride unfamiliar trails. Like frequently. Like in the winter, go ride a mountain maybe you don't ride as much. So that then you're just like constantly keeping your eyes up and like scanning terrain, and you're not just on the same line you're always on, you know? So just go into different zones. Like maybe you always ride Galbraith, maybe you go ride Blanchard, or you go ride Chuckanut, or kind of just go to different zones and practice that like deliberately.
Richie, you had any Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty good answer. I think otherwise would be just, like when your fundamentals are pretty dialed, you can kind of adapt them to anything you're riding. But usually what I would do is like, if the trail is predictable, you kind of can figure out like what's going to be on it. And if there's nothing too gnarly, then you can like kind of think, okay, I can just ride this as is. But there's always something on some tracks that like you definitely need to, I guess, avoid it and make like smart decisions. There's like a rock. If there's like a rock you can't see the backside of, and you know, you maybe just have to go around it. But I mean, the kind of the joke with enduro is just mainline with confidence. Like you can ride the main line of the track pretty fast if you just commit to it, rather than like getting too fancy, especially with a blind track.
So you're not focusing on every rock and every route. You're just looking ahead.
Yeah, like I raced a Squamish enduro this spring, and we had one blind track. I ended up winning it. But you could kind of figure out what the track was like. It was a super steppy, and just kind of commit to riding the main and just be smooth on the brakes and everything. Because especially when you ride a blind track, I feel like you brake a lot harder just because you're unsure of what's coming and your hands blow up. So if you just like try and be smooth and flow with it is kind of the best thing to do.
That's not a question.
So I'm almost doing like dusty sections in a race. Like I'm not confident in like the dust. So it's just like I don't know how to like get better at riding the dust.
He asked about riding the dust. I mean, whether it's dust or mud, I feel like they're actually quite similar. It's just like a lack of traction, I feel like. So if you're kind of good with like riding like slippery conditions, I feel like you can think about it in the same way. At least that's how I think about it, is like, I don't know, but yeah.
I think the best way to get better at something is by doing it, you know? So like if you struggle in the dust, like go ride in the dust and like try and ride a little bit faster, or maybe focus on like certain sections of the trail that you struggle on that are maybe extra dusty, I guess. You know, like it's good to, I think that like for something like that, like the only real way to get better at it is by doing it. So just maybe go ride in the dust more in the summer. I mean, I know you're riding like every day in the summer. So what's your question?
How do you prepare for like a big race like a week or two ahead?
That's, I think for all of us, like I think all of us are oh yeah, so yeah, Riley asked how we prepare for a big race like a week or two ahead, and I think for all of us like take training pretty seriously and like understand what we need to do in order to be ready for a big race. So I think preparation for a race like definitely takes longer than 1 to 2 weeks. Like that's what the off season is for, so to say. Like we spend most of the off season like getting ready for big races the next year. So like it's hard to, I mean, there's like, you can get into the science of it, but it's really hard to make adaptations in that short of time to be ready for a race. So yeah.
Maybe just to add, like in the off season, you have the opportunity to like dial in a routine. So maybe your routine is like the weekend before, you like to go do some shuttle laps on your downhill bike before the race the next weekend because you're getting confident on your bike. Maybe you're not riding the gnarliest trails, but you're hitting corners well. You're just feeling good on your bike. And then throughout the week, you come to the weekend rested, like not going too crazy all week, you know, and riding a ton because then you're going to come in fatigued. So I think it's being smart with your energy as well.
Yeah, like 2 weeks out, you could even I do race simulations. Like I get the schedule, I know the time limits, I pack my stuff. Like if we're talking enduro, you do like, this is going to be 6 hours and this much elevation. So you do a race simulation and you try and go hard on the stages, and then you rest the week before and you try and relax and like be ready to go. Yeah, up front.
Kind of adding on what Riley said, like, do you do like if you know the course like 3 weeks before the race, are you practicing that kind of? I don't know.
Depends what team you're at. Depends if you're from Europe or not.
Are you like?
What about downhill though? Like
yeah.
Like what's a routine? Like, would you practice that kind of riding that you're gonna go, that's gonna be at that race, or like what's a preparation that's riding that you do for the race?
That's a great question. Yeah.
I don't really understand.
Yeah. So you're curious on so say you're thinking more enduro. If you know where the race is going to be in say 3 weeks, do you go there and ride the tracks a ton and like get super? I think it depends. Like at the World Cup level, us especially from North America, we don't really have the opportunity to do that because it's so far and like it's expensive and we can't go ride in Italy all winter. And some of the Europeans do that, and that's like an advantage they have of having all the races in Europe. But I think it's obviously riding terrain that's similar is smart. Like if we go to Val di Fassa, we'll go ride bike parks around there like the weekend before because it's all pretty similar,
Sorry.
Go for it, yeah.
Here in Bellingham or White Rock, like, is there any trail similar to that race course that you would go just like rally till?
Yeah, totally. No, that's cool. I think identifying like say, I don't know, example maybe would be like the type of dirt. Like I'd say in Canada, like Vetter Mountain is like very clay-based dirt. So that's like a sick place to go and ride conditions that maybe would be more similar to Europe than like some parts of Bellingham are like very like sandy, like drain really well. You have so much grip. So it's kind of like you could identify, okay, maybe this mountain is really slippery when it's wet. So that's a good place to go practice if the race is going to be like that.
Yeah. You guys have anything to add too? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think either you go ride what you're confident with riding and kind of work on, like, I guess a little bit of speed, or, yeah, like before we went to Lenzerheide Downhill World Cup, we were in France, and there's like all these sick, steep loamers, super muddy, but I knew the next track was going to be fast bike park, and so I just stuck to the bike park, which like was insanely rough, but it helped way more than riding something totally different.
Cass's question.
So, what's the difference between like EDR, like junior EDR kids and junior downhill kids? And like, how do I figure out like which path I want to like pursue? Like how do I figure out if I want to do it in like enduro or downhill?
That's a great question. Yeah.
Get Tilly to answer that.
Yeah, I get Tilly.
Tilly, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so Cass is wondering like what the difference between the kids who are racing junior downhill and junior enduro World Cup, like what the main differences are. And yeah, I think he was asking that to kind of help him decide whether he wants to race enduro World Cup or downhill World Cup and which discipline he wants to pursue more. And for me, I grew up racing enduro around here, like CDCs with Jill, and it was super good. Like it was great for building skills and fitness, and yeah, I had a really good time, and I feel like I grew a lot as a rider with that, and ultimately I ended up picking downhill. I think for me, I chose downhill because I just really liked the repetition down the same track. That was like really good, and I ended up really liking that, and yeah, and over time, like I just really ended up liking downhill more, so I feel like for my decision, it wasn't really a decision, it was just kind of there for me, but yeah, I feel like the difference is more just that with enduro you're training for a different discipline, so you're training to pedal to the top of the stage and then race for the whole day, versus downhill I feel like there's a bit more rest time and you're really just focused on one track, getting the one track perfect, and yeah, so it really just depends on what you want to do, I guess, but you already knew that. But.
You can also do both. Yeah. And like, remember Luke Meyer-Smith, he came from EWS and now he's winning downhill, so you don't have to choose. You can do both if you want.
Even Alden.
And they help each other. It's like a lot. Yeah. Everyone here's raced downhill and enduro.
Yeah. And Elliot's also done cross country.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like maybe to add, like when I was first year junior, so I guess 17, I raced the full Canada Cup cross country series all season. Like my goal was to go to World Champs for XC. That was like my main goal. And then I ended up just doing some downhill races like throughout the year for fun. Like I always loved racing enduro and downhill alongside it. And then I ended up getting the opportunity to go to World Champs for downhill, and I just took the opportunity like, oh, this is cool. Like I get to go to Europe, ride my bike, and race the World Champs. And it's a little bit different now because there's a little bit more specialization happening when kids are younger, and that pressure is kind of like I can see like talking to young athletes, they feel more that pressure of needing to like make a choice of I need to do enduro or downhill at like a young age. But I definitely, like Jill said, I think they both complement each other so well. And as you like mature as an athlete, you'll gravitate more towards one, and maybe that's more like the training you enjoy. Like for me, I love training for enduro. Like sometimes downhill racing, like I love downhill racing as well, but I like the training for enduro more, like being able to ride the trail bike all the time, doing big days. I found with downhill, it was always shuttling, like always riding time on the downhill bike, which that like didn't connect as much with me as a rider and like why mountain bike. So it's like also just what you like purely like enjoy doing more and what you see yourself spending more time doing.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to ask what you enjoy more, because you've raced both, Cass?
Yeah, well,
Could,
I'm thinking, like, I just like the idea of, like, being on the bike more, and I feel like I perform better when it's more sight reading, and it's not like I'm rising every single part of the track. So I guess that would make me gravitate more towards, like, the enduro side, I guess. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that was, like, similar to me, and I did 3 or 4 years of downhill racing up until 2022, and then decided to try enduro for 2 years. And like initially I was really stoked on it, and in the end it is just racing your bike, which obviously we all share that passion and love for. But I think ultimately after the 2 years I raced enduro, I was like, this isn't really where I feel most passionate. And I think there's a lot of like right now, especially with the state of the two disciplines, there's a lot to kind of pull you towards one or the other, but it really in the end it's what you enjoy the most, because that's kind of what the main goal is to get out of this sport. So
you've switched and switched back. You can
Yep.
change your mind as much as you want.
Totally, yeah. And I'm a better downhill racer because of it. So
Depends how much time you have too. Enduro is no joke how much time it takes.
yeah.
I mean, downhill as well, but you're out there like 6 hours pedaling. If you get 3 hours your average ride-ish.
Definitely, yeah.
You know,
You have to love that.
You're in school and you don't have as much time in life to just ride your bike as much as you can.
We can have Richie Rude answer this too. He's done both.
I mean, what's hard about enduro now is that you only get 2 years in juniors, versus you used to get till you're 21,
Till you're 20.
20, whatever.
It was like 4 or 5, yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah. I mean, the hard part I feel like with downhill sometimes is that you do have to be pretty committed to it, because yeah.
They're changing it for no more U21, is that what's happening?
Yeah, there's no more U21 in enduro. But like with downhill too, it's like you go to the race, like when you go to a race weekend, you have to make sure you put everything towards it, because you could be just doing qualifiers and you're done for the weekend.
Yeah.
Or enduro, you're guaranteed racing, and there's a bit more fun in that. But yeah, it's definitely a hard choice. And
That's a good
I'll
point,
add to
though,
that.
Yeah. Like building experience when you're young, like enduro is such a good way to just get so much time on the clock where
Right.
you're down a weekend.
Yeah, I think that was like a pull to enduro racing, is because I was phasing out of juniors as a downhill racer and knew like I really wasn't ready to go into elite, and I felt like I still wanted to go to Europe and race and gain some results that would maybe help me get some support and just ride more, similar to what you're saying. So I did the 2 years of enduro, and I think I also just kind of grew up as I did those 2 years of racing. So that in the end exposed me to more riding in Europe, a ton more racing. Like think if over an enduro day where you have 40 minutes of racing, that might be the amount of racing you do in a downhill season. So I think it really gets you comfortable with racing and being under the clock. So we good with this question? Or? Cool. Sky?
Like when you're, you know how in a downhill race, like there's sometimes it's like the Friday and Saturday, they give you like designated times for practice stops. So like I found like sometimes like I want to do as many practice stops as I can, but then I get a really big arm pump on that day, like my arm pump is insane, and it's just really hard. So like, how many laps do you guys do like on those practice days, or like just yeah?
Yeah, so I think like for the Northwest Cup schedule, I think it's quite relaxed with the practice, but as you do kind of bigger races for our World Cup stuff, we only really get, I think, 4 hours of track time. So it's really about maximizing those runs. So I think when it comes to arm pump and those things, that you'll kind of get, as you get stronger and things like that, you'll be able to ride longer. But at least for the highest level, it's really about maximizing those runs. So we'll get, I typically we'll have a morning practice, and I'll do 4 runs in morning practice, and then we have time training, and it's usually 3 to 4 runs as well. So yeah, I think it's really, right now you've got a lot of practice time and you can kind of restrict that, but as you move to bigger races, it's more about kind of maximizing the laps. So
what would you do in first practice versus second?
I think, yeah, obviously it's kind of about the natural progression of your speed. So first practice, you're really just getting a feel of the track, kind of testing out some lines, and then during time training, kind of, at least for myself, I really try to push that speed, because with Q1 and Q2, you really need to have kind of idea how fast you need to go. So really trying to get a solid couple laps in time training is pretty key. So I think when it comes to a Northwest Cup, that's like nearing the end of your first day of practice, you should feel like you could put down a pretty good lap.
Like I race some of the BC Cups, and you get full Friday and full Saturday of just practices, and a lot of kids will like hike the whole Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Get all the lines and they'll do like, what do you think is that like the strategy, or should I?
Yeah, so I think you should try to time your natural progression so you peak on your race run. And obviously it's less is more. So like if you're doing 12 laps on day 1, and it's like how much faster are you really getting? So I think really trying to understand where you're going to feel the fastest and then where you're going to get fatigued and start to fall off. So I really don't think you would need more than maybe 6 to 8 laps on day 1. And then but really it should be, as you gain more experience racing, you'll figure out what works for you. I know people, I'm pretty sure like Asa Vermette, when he was racing Northwest Cups, would do like 15 laps and sneak into Cat 2 practice and do more laps. So I really think it's really based on you, but I think there's a point where you can do too many.
Kind of building on that, I have a question. When I was watching 1199 practice 2 years ago, I noticed that Aaron Gwynn was skipping the biggest drop on, the second, not the first wood drop, but the second one. And someone asked him why he was like, I know I can do it, but it just beats me up all practice. So is that very common where you would skip a big feature?
I think that's gone with, I was going to say age, but no, I don't know. I wouldn't really do that, to be honest. I think like for the most part, all the features you're going to be riding like at race pace, so it's probably good enough. Like you should hit them through every run, and yeah, I think that's Gwynn's getting.
Oh, pass the mic. I think he is coming off a hand injury, so I'm not taking the mic.
Circumstantial. Is there any more questions?
I'd like to know on this end out here, they're closest to the age of our racers. They're the biggest difference between the Northwest Cups and going to the World Cups. Different travel, food, and all that. Just what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, you're traveling between continents, so it's a big adjustment between the food and everything. The language is huge. Like, you're going to go to Europe and nobody's really going to speak a ton of English, so it's going to be a lot of different things thrown at you at one time. And it's a bit overwhelming at first, but once you're kind of able to get used to it, you're pretty much just doing the same thing as over here. And I think the biggest adjustment for me going to race the World Cups is that qualifying is like, it's actually a race. So it's like if you're at the Northwest Cup, it's like, oh, you do a seating run, and it's like, oh, just do your best. Some people don't pedal, but you go to the World Cup and you have to race qualifying as it is a race run. And in juniors, for me this year it's been a bit different because it's like top 10. So yeah, you try to push so you can make a good qualifying, but you don't want to push too much because then something might happen. You get a mechanical or crash and you'll be out of the final. So it's really just finding the balance of that. It's different over in Europe, and yeah, the qualifying is actually a race. Same for the elites, like Alden was saying, with Q1 and Q2, you really have to be on pace for both of those, and the qualifying it's on the second day of the race weekend. So you have the practice day with the 2 training sessions, and then the qualifying day, you get like an hour or so of practice before you do your Q1 or Q2 if you have it. And so, yeah, just being prepared to have things be different over there was, yeah, something that if I could go back before my first World Cup in Fort William last year, that's something that I wish that I kind of took a bit more seriously, was just that, like, how different everything will be and being ready for it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Tilly on that, just with the difference in schedule. I mean, at the Northwest Cup, it's kind of a mellow couple-hour practice on Friday, couple-hour practice on Saturday, plus seating, and then race day Sunday. But then at the World Cups, I mean, you have your 2 different practice sessions on the first day, and then, yeah, qualifying on the second day, and just qualifying is pretty much, like Tilly said, yeah, a race. So that was kind of the biggest shock to me and difference, is just being like, okay, I really need to push, but not push too hard, because I got to make this cutoff. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then also tying it into the last question about how you treat your practice strategy, something for me that has been really big this year was just keeping it consistent through every race. I know every race is going to have a different schedule, but for me, I would do 3 runs in the morning practice and then 3 to 4 in the afternoon practice to make sure that I get the time training run. And yeah, so yeah, that's like 6 to 7 runs total for the first day, and then 2 right before the qualifying. And so just trying to keep that schedule, even if I'm at like a national race at the beginning of the year, just building into the season with using the same kind of strategy that I would use at the World Cups as well, really helped me just feel really comfortable with how my schedule was at the World Cups.
I actually have something to build off of that. And to build on that as well, if I'm coming up to like the end of practice, like our time's running out before the next category gets their practice session, I really like to make sure that my last practice lap of the day is a good lap. So even if that doesn't necessarily mean I'm pushing to go as fast as I might want to be in like practice the next day, but I just want to make sure I'm hitting all my lines and it was a good solid run to end the day.
And so, if you're not able to necessarily end it on a good note, you have to also be able to just take it as it comes and move straight on to the race run. So yeah. Anyone else?
Question. We'll take Mom first.
Guys, so we've talked a lot about like physically preparing for a race and stuff, and along with that comes eat and sleep. Are you guys pretty meticulous about like your schedule? Do you go to bed at a certain time, wake up at a certain time? Do you give yourself off days? Do you sleep in? Like, does your sleep schedule swing wildly? Do you eat the same things? Can you talk about that a little bit?
I mean, the sleep thing is really hard to control because of your nerves and stuff, so you do the best you can. I kind of travel with my own pillow, and I have like a smell, like a lavender pillow thing, because those comforts from home, even like a blanket, it's like those little touch things, or like a mask. There's things you can do, but like you want to control as many things as you can control, even though you might not get good sleep. It's like that's the worst thing, but you can also overcome even if you don't have good sleep. But then, you know, practice your food before you get to the race. Like, always, it's like another simulation. You need to just practice. Like, you can practice a World Cup scenario at an NW Cup if that's your dream to go to World Cups. Like, practice it. Like, go through the reps. Have your meals planned. Like, it does make a difference. And if you feel weird or you get weird stomachache or you puke the next day, like, maybe change it up. You know, so it's worth experimenting and finding, like, you know, breakfast is always hard to get down sometimes when you're nervous. You just got to find the things that work for you and, like, use, like, your senses to sort of pretend you're at home or you're comfortable or you can get good sleep. Is anyone? All right.
Did any of you guys play like other sports other than biking?
Yeah, I played a lot of sport. I played soccer on a national team in school and Olympic development and tennis and snowboard and dirt bike. And yeah, I didn't focus on bikes until I was like maybe 21. Like, I definitely raced pro BMX my whole life, but I had all these other things that they add to it. Like, if you're just one-dimensional, it's not the best thing.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. So I did gymnastics for like 8 or 9 years. So like I didn't start biking until I was like 8th grade or like freshman year in high school. So like, and I think that like honestly that really set me up really well for biking actually. So yeah, it's definitely. But like once I started biking, I started taking it pretty seriously. I mean, I love to snowboard and do winter activities along with that, and like ride my dirt bike and stuff like that. But yeah.
Can you ask Richie?
What?
What's your question, Sky?
Like, kind of what you guys just said, like, most of you guys are multi-sport athletes. So, like, what if you're doing one sport, in that sport, there's, like, a season for that sport, and at the end of the season, you're still doing that sport, and then other people are, like, training and already doing races for, like, that other sport, like, say it's mountain biking, and you're still doing, like, skiing or something. It's
Yeah.
like,
I'm probably not the person to ask for this, honestly.
or, like, another sport, it could be any sport.
Yeah.
It's all cardio. It's good.
Yeah, I think like what Jill said, they all benefit each other so much. Like I grew up playing until I was, I think 15. I played like full-time hockey. I would just mountain bike, go riding with my dad and his buddies, and that was like about the extent of my training for biking. You know, like I loved playing hockey. That was like my first dream to play that professionally. And then biking just took like hold of that. But I think all the skills of like working with a team and like being coachable and developing like work ethic, like all that comes from other sports that maybe other kids you race against that are like mountain bike all year long, in 4 or 5 years they might, you know, not be in it anymore, and then you're just like getting started and like really like revving it up, you know. So yeah.
Do you want to touch on Wei Tian at all?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Like one of my best friends, Wei Tian Ho, is a professional mountain biker and a professional freeride skier, and like he is such a cool example. Like he grew up in Whistler. He's 22 now, and he hasn't even now he still hasn't actually had to make a choice between like doing skiing at a professional level and doing mountain biking at a professional level. Like he's fully a professional athlete in both, and like I'm very close to him, so I see what that means to him and the challenges of it as well. And he has a lot of, throughout the winter, he has a lot of like, he can get really self-conscious that like everyone else is training on their bikes while he's skiing all winter, and then like vice versa for skiing in the summer with biking. But I think he finds so much like fulfillment in doing both, and it really like makes him stand out as an athlete as well. Like he's so unique, and he differentiates himself through that, which versus just being one thing is cool if you can do that at a really high level, but it adds another variable to your personality and your enjoyment. So yeah.
I mean, the whole point of sport is to test your mental fortitude. Like, you can do that in any way. Like, you could be playing ping pong and have, like, a high-pressure stakes, like 11-11 or whatever, like, heated match. And it's like, what can you do in that moment? And that is an example of what you can pretend to be in the gate. Like, you can be somewhere and pretend you're somewhere else. And that's, like, you know, when I'm at a race like Sea Otter and I'm in my training, like, I swap. Like, I'll pretend when I'm at my training, like, practicing for that race, that I'm at the event, and I practice with the wind and the smells and the fans, and then when I'm at the event I pretend I'm back in my little safe spot by myself working hard in the rain, like doing sprints, you know what I mean? It's like you don't need to train so hard when you're young, you just need to know how to compete and test your mind.
I think I caught what you were saying, Jill, is that Sky, if you were playing a spring sport and that sport doesn't end until March or April, I think what they're telling you is that if you committed to that team, don't get the FOMO, commit to that sport that you're doing. I think that's what you were trying to
Definitely, for sure.
They all will help you. Like,
Yeah.
I
Totally.
think being stoked to like go do something too is like if you're like skiing a bunch and you're doing competitive skiing, whatever that looks like for you, like, and you're like, oh, like this is kind of going late, like I want to start riding and stuff. Like I think being stoked to come back and be riding again is like almost as sick as riding, honestly. Like I think like just getting really, really stoked to go do something is like, and thinking about it all the time is like, that's something that's helped me a lot. So
you think it's maybe better to wait until you're like ready to go instead of burning yourself out over the whole winter?
yeah, for sure.
I think too,
Riding
like
all winter in the rain versus like go hit the pow day.
Yeah, and like I think there's like such rare examples of people that hyper specialize at like such a young age that they end up, you know, like the Tiger Woods, or like in mountain biking right now, like Jackson Goldstone's like an example of that. Like he's ridden a bike since he started walking, but there's so many, like the majority of people that end up succeeding don't do that path, you know? So it's like, I think it's easy to like attach to those one-off cases versus the majority.
Plus, Jackson didn't even really train. He just rides his bike. He still doesn't really train. He barely has a gym guy, and he doesn't train. He just rides his bike, and look at how good he is. He's amazing. He loves it, and that's how he got so far. He loves it and wants it.
So no gym?
I mean, I think he does a little bit now, but I mean,
He's also a one-off too.
He has to, right? Like, he's tiny. But he got his explosive power because he's like, you know, he's so much like a gymnast. He has that like plyometric power. So it's not like he wasn't doing stuff, but he was doing it dynamically on his bike or through skiing or doing his freestyle, which made him more hungry to race, you know? So it all helps. Yep.
I don't know if I mean, you could ride motor trails on a bike, but they just probably wouldn't be that fun.
And it's dangerous, I would think.
It's fun on the e-bike.
It's fun on the e-bike.
Because they're...
I wouldn't say riding motor trails is going to make you any better. I think riding bike trails is probably the best thing you can do.
A variety of trails.
Yes, a variety of bike trails, but maybe not motor trails.
Finding weird trails sometimes.
Weird trails is cool, yeah.
Get weird. Anyone else? We good? All right.
Thanks for coming. You can go home now. No. Let's give a round of applause for all of our athletes. Thank you so much. Now go skiing and get stoked to ride your bike later. All right. Have a good night.
Do the Lars.
Oh yeah, Lars.
Good question for them.
I'm gonna have Matt do this.
Okay. One of our friends, Lars, has started a new company, and we have a flyer over there we'll hand out for bike setup. But this is a good question for you guys. How much do you think bike setup matters in going fast versus just training?
Massive.
So,
And then where you're at though. Like when I was your guys' age, bike setup did not matter at all. Like I didn't check my tire pressure, I didn't check my suspension. To be honest, like I didn't start doing that till I was probably on a World Cup team, like at like 18. Really, like to put it in perspective. Maybe some people are different, but.
Well, the kid with the hand pumps, that could be your rebounds too slow too, you know? You might want to experiment a little bit more. You get stronger, but it's also setup can affect how you feel.
Sure. Yeah.
But
that's
in the weeds. So anyway, Lars can help you like dial in your rebounds and stuff.
Oh, okay. I really didn't advocate for that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to know what
Lars isn't here, so it's
Lars isn't here, but what he's doing is he used to work for Transition, but now he's set up a new company that can work on any kind of bike. But a lot of people don't know how to dial in their suspension and whatnot on their bike, and so he's set up a company to help you do that if you're not comfortable doing that. And so we have flyers over there by the camera, and you can pick one up, and he's got a website set up to check it out.
Let's hear it.
My dad asked how to get rid of arm pump.
That's. I don't know.
Stiffer form.
Yeah. I don't know. I think like it could be bike setup. It could be a strength issue. I mean, it like.
Could be your grips, your suspension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's.
Could be nerves too. Like one example this year, like national champs. I was so excited for the race. I had no arm pump all weekend. Race run, I was gripping so hard, I blew myself up in like the first 30 seconds. And like, that's not like an issue I normally struggle with, but it can be mental too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So relaxing, like just like deep breaths, relax, and then drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for the bike setup thing, I think your bike setup should be equal to the resources that you have available to you. Like if you're willing to take the time out of your day to look at all the stuff with the suspension and you're really geeking out over what's my setup and sag and all this stuff, then that's sweet and you should do that. But I think it's easy to get into this mindset that you're never going to have a good enough bike setup, and that, like for myself, I don't have the resources that these boys do with like all the mechanics and stuff like that. So for me to really be like going to a World Cup run and being like, my bike setup isn't set up as good as my competitors, that's only going to hurt me. And in the end of the day, it's all so marginal that I think really caring about your bike setup is good, but over carrying and putting too much emphasis on it can negatively affect you with your racing. So, yeah.
I think the fastest setup is going to be the one you're most comfortable on. So
Totally.
if you're like riding, if you're comfortable with how your bike feels today, then that's probably going to be your fastest setup realistically. So. Sweet. All right. That's a wrap. You have a question? Oh, never mind.
I'm just wondering if you guys could talk about like how much social media matters as like an athlete, because some people can misuse it, but it's like a tool. So I was just wondering how you guys skip. Like if you guys look at it as like really important.
I think social media is a good portfolio and platform to advocate for yourself other than your race results. And I think it's a good way to build value as a rider, other than just racing. I think it's pretty easy to get like lost in the social media side of things and care too much about it. So I think in the end of the day, it's a bit of balance, it's a bit of both. But I don't know. That's a hard question.
So, if you like making videos, like any discipline, if you like skiing, if you like enduro, if you like downhill, if you like making videos, make videos. If you don't. I've been lucky enough, I really like making videos, and that's been a huge help in making mountain biking a career for me, and I'm super stoked on that. But I wouldn't tell someone who doesn't like making videos to go down that path. So same with social media. Like if it's bringing you joy, pursue that. If it's not bringing you joy, don't do that. That's my take on it. I don't know if anyone wants to add. Emmy.
So I actually do have a way of locking in.
Emmy has a way of locking in. Confirmed.
What I do is before the race, I listen to Wu-Tang Clan, and I don't take my helmet off.
Helmet on, Wu-Tang Clan. Boom. All right.
That's it.
All right. Thanks for coming.